Welcome to List Lab. On Malta and Gozo stand ancient stone temples older than Stonehenge and older than the Egyptian pyramids. They were built by people who left no written explanation of what these places meant. Archaeology says they were created by a Neolithic island culture. But the mystery is still difficult to ignore. Why would a small prehistoric society build so many huge, carefully planned monuments then disappear from history without leaving us their own voice? In this video, we will explore the physical mystery of Malta's ancient temples, the alternative theories that connect them to a lost civilization, and the archaeological evidence that explains what we can actually support. We will begin with the Great Temple on Gozo, then move to the cliff-top temples, the decorated temple sites, and the strange underground world of the Hypogeum. If you enjoy calm, evidence-led investigations into ancient mysteries, subscribe to List Lab and tell me in the comments whether you think these temples are fully explained, or whether something still feels missing. The first mystery is not simply that Malta's temples are old, it is how complete, deliberate, and symbolically powerful they feel. At the Great Gozo Temple, enormous limestone blocks form curved chambers, thick outer walls, and a plan that looks far more organized than many people expect from the Stone Age. Some stones weigh many tons, and the whole structure still feels designed to impress, guide, and perhaps even intimidate the visitor. This was not simple shelter or a rough stone marker. It was a place that demanded labor, planning, belief, and a society capable of organizing people over long periods of time. The builders left no writing, but they left architecture that still feels like a message. Across Malta, the same sense of mystery appears again and again. One cliff-top temple stands on high ground near the sea, with massive walls, shaped entrances, and a commanding position in the landscape. Nearby, another temple appears to interact with sunlight in a striking way, especially around the equinoxes, when the rising sun enters the building with unusual precision. At a decorated temple site further inland, carved animals, spirals, and ritual spaces suggest a symbolic world that feels both familiar and unreachable. Smaller and earlier sites add more pieces to the story, suggesting that the temple tradition had roots before the grandest monuments were built. Yet the more sites we examine, the stranger the central question becomes. Why did this small island world become one of the great centers of prehistoric temple building? Then there is the underground mystery. The Hypogeum is not a temple standing beneath the sky, but a chambered world carved down into the living rock. Its rooms, passages, niches, and burial spaces create the feeling of an entire sacred landscape hidden underground. Thousands of human remains were found there, suggesting that this was a place connected to death, memory, and ritual over many generations. Some chambers appear carefully shaped, and some seem to echo the design of the temples above ground. That raises difficult questions. What ceremonies took place in those dark rooms? Who was allowed inside? And what kind of belief system could inspire both towering stone monuments above ground and sacred spaces carved beneath it? This sense of strangeness has made Malta important in alternative history. Some writers and presenters argue that the temples may preserve traces of knowledge older than the accepted archaeological dates. Hancock has made this argument widely known, especially through Ancient Apocalypse, where Malta is presented as a possible clue to a forgotten civilization from before the recognized temple period. In this view, the temples are not simply the achievement of local Neolithic communities. They may be the surviving echo of an older culture, perhaps one that passed down astronomical knowledge, building traditions, or sacred ideas after a lost catastrophe. One of the most striking claims involves possible alignments with Sirius, the bright star, and the idea that some temple orientations might make better sense if the monuments, or the ideas behind them, were far older than archaeology currently accepts. The appeal of this theory is easy to understand. Malta's temples are older than many famous ancient monuments, yet they are less widely known. They have no written explanation, no royal inscriptions, no named builders, and no surviving myth that tells us exactly what they were for. That silence creates space for bigger possibilities. When people see huge stones, possible astronomical alignments, underground chambers, carved figures, and a vanished temple culture, the idea of inherited knowledge can feel tempting. It makes Malta seem less like an isolated Neolithic achievement and more like a surviving clue from a lost chapter of human history. But an appealing theory is not the same as a supported one. To decide whether Malta points to a lost civilization, we have to ask what the evidence can actually carry. The strongest archaeological evidence places Malta's temple culture in the Neolithic period. The temples are generally dated from around 3600 BC to around 2500 BC, with different sites developing across that long span of time. Archaeologists do not rely on guesswork alone. They use radiocarbon dating, excavation layers, pottery styles, animal bones, human remains, and the relationship between earlier and later sites. Smaller and earlier places help show that the temple tradition had roots before the most famous monuments were built. The evidence suggests development over generations, not a single sudden arrival of unknown master builders. This does not make the temples less extraordinary. It means the achievement belongs to prehistoric island communities who were more organized, skilled, and symbolically complex than many modern people assume. The buildings themselves also fit a local Neolithic world, even though they remain remarkable. The temples often have curved chambers, central passages, stone thresholds, carved openings, and large forecourts where people may have gathered before ritual activity inside. At one decorated temple site, carvings of animals and spiral patterns suggest a symbolic language, but not writing in the usual sense. At the Great Gozo Temple and the cliff-top temples, the use of large stone blocks shows deep practical knowledge of local limestone, transport, balance, and construction. The builders did not need metal machinery to achieve this. They needed time, labor, repeated experience, and a community that believed the work mattered. The astronomical claims are more complicated, because one of the cliff-top temples does appear to have meaningful solar relationships, especially around the equinoxes and solstices. But a real alignment does not automatically prove a lost Ice Age civilization. The evidence points most strongly to local development, while still leaving room for genuine questions about ritual, belief, and how carefully the builders watched the sky. The lost civilization claim is not proven by the evidence, but the mystery of Malta's temples does not disappear. In some ways, the archaeological explanation makes the story more interesting, not less. If these monuments were built by local Neolithic communities, then we are looking at a society that organized enormous effort without writing, without named kings, and without the kind of central state we associate with later monument builders. We still do not know exactly what happened inside the temples. We do not fully understand the meaning of the carved figures, the repeated spirals, the animal imagery, or the relationship between the temples above ground and the Hypogeum below ground. The stones give us evidence, but not a complete translation. The end of the temple culture is another unresolved part of the puzzle. After centuries of building, maintaining, and using these monuments, the tradition faded or transformed around the middle of 3rd millennium BC. Environmental pressure, soil exhaustion, changing farming systems, outside contact, social instability, or a combination of pressures may all have played a part. But the people left no written account of decline, crisis, reform, or migration. Archaeology can trace patterns, but it cannot recover every decision, belief, or fear. That is why Malta's temples remain so powerful. The mystery is not whether people were capable of building them. The deeper mystery is why this island society chose to build so much, so carefully, and with such lasting symbolic force. So what do you think Malta's ancient temples really represent? Are they the remarkable achievement of a Neolithic island culture, or do they still hint at something we have not fully understood? Let me know in the comments. Like the video if you enjoyed the investigation, and subscribe to ListLab for more ancient mysteries.